I'm still guessing the same thing that I guessed way back in that episode right after I just started Takeshi. And that is that probably it still seems this way to me that the kid's stuff happens at a different time than Takeshi's stuff happens. Presumably, the kid happen routes happen later in time than Takeshi's, and based off of the time when Yu's parents supposedly died, according to Sora in Takeshi's timeline, that would be 17 years. So Takeshi's would take place in 2017, Yu's would take place in 2034. So then, how do you explain how are the characters there and who are they and whatnot? Well, for Tsugumi is the most straightforward. She's the same Tsugumi both times because Tsugumi doesn't age. She just it's just in the kids stuff. In Takeshi's stuff it's 21-year-old Tsugumi or 24-year-old Tsugumi. In the kids stuff it's 41-year-old Tsugumi. Um, and when she says I'm a lot older than you might think, she's kind of also not only just she's not simply telling the kid that I'm 24 even though I look 17. She's telling the player I'm actually 41 even though you think I'm only 24. I'm guessing the most likely is that you is actually a different person. That's actually a clone of the original you. So the you in Takeshi's route is Yubisai Harukana. And then she got cloned somehow. And then the you in the kids' routes is Yubisai Akikana, who's a totally different person with a different name. They look exactly the same because they're clones. Now, and then Yuki, Dr. Tanaka in the kids' route, is actually Yubisai Harukana, the you from Takeshi's route. In other words, you raised a clone of herself. Here's the problem with that. It's a big, big, big problem. You is supposedly 18 years and 7 months old. But I'm guessing that because Yu's mom supposedly died uh, in 2019, and died 15 years ago in Yu's route, then, huh, that would mean that, oh, maybe I just solved my problem. I was like, you would have had to if I kept thinking that you gave birth to you, meaning that Yubisai Harukana got pregnant and gave birth to Yubisai Makikana. She birthed her own clone, but in Ever17, of course, people didn't birth their own clones. The mother actually would redo it. So maybe you use mom, like her homozygote mom, her allele mom, actually gave birth to the second you after the events of the no that would she'd have to do it before. Still doesn't solve it. Anyway, someone cloned you. But what I say the issue is that you is 18 and a half years approximately old, but these take 17 years apart. So that would mean that you would have had to gotten cloned over a year before the events of Takeshi's route. So in other words, Yubisai um, Yubisai Akikana had to be born before Takeshi's route happens, approximately 1 year and 7 months before Takeshi's route happens. I guess that could happen. You couldn't have given birth to her, so she couldn't really be born of her body by born literally being squeezed out, but she could still have been cloned, and that still could metaphorically make sense somehow. Anyway, so I think they're different people. Sarah is shown to be a childhood or a high school, not really child, high school friend of you. And this would be Yubisai Akikana, the kid's you. And she doesn't appear in the first route. So you could say, okay, that's very simple. Sarah was born after she's only 16. So she was born 1 year after Takeshi's route. And then 16 years later, she does Yu's route. I mean, she does the kid's route. There you go. Now, and then Coco, you could say, well, Coco just existed in the Takeshi's route, so he just exists there. Okay, Coco is only in one route, so we don't have to travel Coco through time. The kid, on the other hand, is the most weirdo, diabolical person because he exists in both. He is the fraternal twin of Sara. You could say he got cloned also, but he has memories of the original kid. He remembers Coco and keeps seeing visions of her. And so it's like the kid is somewhat of an enigma. The kid is a bit weird. He's a bit crazy, so he's not very simple to explain. Lastly, although Coco and Sara are only in one route respectively, they are a bit complicated because they seem to have some sort of resonance going on. For example, Coco knows the lullaby. Somehow learns just now the lullaby that Sara knows, and she's also calling out to her brother like Sara would. And the kid mistakes Sara for Coco at one point. They tend to overlap on top of each other. There's something that kind of connects them together. And, right? Also, Yu wants to call Takeshi daddy. Well, Yu's dad we thought was a researcher in IBF, not Takeshi. You might go, well, it doesn't matter. She just wants to call Takeshi daddy. Well, usually in an Uchikoshi game, that means more than just simply that. Like, it usually means, well, that means Takeshi's literally her dad. Like, it tends to do that, those kind of things. So, also, she has a brother, apparently, and that brother isn't actually mentioned like her dad is. Like, the character doesn't even come up. It's basically think, who is Coco's brother? Is it the kid, like the first kid, like the Takeshi version of the kid? For some reason shares memories with the kid version of the kid, or is it Takeshi somehow in some weird way? Takeshi doesn't seem to have anything to do with this. He just seems to be a random person who just ended up caught up, but he shows up in both routes. Takeshi, you would think, would have to be cryo-suspended and lost his memories of the first way through. The pods do have cryogenic suspension capabilities. That's what I thought earlier. So somebody could have been suspended over, and that's how they show up in both timelines. And the person who's the prime candidate for suspension would be Takeshi. So my theory would be Takeshi was cryo-suspended. That's how he gets hit. He ends up in both. Okay. This is kind of a random side tangent. Speaking of lullabies that your mom sings to me, this kind of relates to the whole idea of childhood amnesia. Some people claim this is the case, but in general, people have a hard time remembering things until after they start learning a language, after they pick up on language. It's very difficult to remember something from when you didn't know how to talk. And so you don't really remember things that happened to you when you were a baby. You don't remember your diaper being changed, and you don't remember being born. The earliest thing that I can remember is when my mom wanted me to sleep. She would sing this. Now, she would only really sing it on one pitch, and she didn't get past the first stanza. But I'm going to make an attempt at this, and we'll see what happens. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Alleluia, alleluia. Man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Alleluia, alleluia. Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. Alleluia, alleluia. And then let's get on with the game. That's cute. What a good name. How cute. That was what I thought. I did my best to stifle my laughter.
ああ、ずるい。笑わないって言ったのに。
Come on. You promised not to laugh. I'm not laughing. I tried to keep a straight face, but the corners of my mouth started to twitch. I could just imagine Tsugumi baby talking to it. Shammy poo. Shammy poo, it's din time.
ああ、もう、だから言いたくなかったのに。
That's why I didn't want to tell you. Sullen Tsugumi was red-faced, but she held out the bath towel she had behind her back. Oh, thanks. I took the towel and wiped myself down. Phew. I breathed deeply, feeling reborn as I glanced at Tsugumi's profile. She was playing with the hamster in her hand, and her cheeks were bright. She looked so happy. It was the first time I'd ever seen her smile like she meant it.
たけし、
Takeshi,
ありがとう。
thank you. Tsugumi said it with a whisper without looking at my face. So, I presume because Takeshi got wet, that he went and saved the hamster. But he also had the conversation with Sora. So, that means he's done both of these routes correctly at the same time, somehow. But that would mean that he gets more close with Tsugumi, while Sora is after him, which might make things even more awkward. Now, you can choose that, in Sora's route, that Takeshi has a girlfriend waiting for him. So, depending on your choice, you can choose that he's cheating on her if you want to, but Takeshi's personality, you would expect him to cheat on his girlfriend. I headed towards the EI area with Tsugumi. Since we were in the area with the generator room, we had to take one of the egg-like elevators to get back. I felt excited, maybe from the feeling of accomplishment of rescuing Chammy. Or maybe because you get to be alone in an elevator with Tsugumi again. That's exciting, isn't it? But my feet were heavy. My body just couldn't keep up. I was exhausted. 5 hours earlier, I had been running with you on my back, who had started suffering from something all of a sudden. And with this to rescue Chammy, I swam over 300 feet from underwater. Is this really just fatigue? This heaviness. I feel a bit feverish, too. I have a slight headache. Maybe I caught a cold.
どうしたの？
What's wrong? Tsugumi must have noticed my slow steps and looked at my face worried. I'm just tired.
大丈夫？
Are you alright? Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just tired is all.
そう。
Okay. Tsugumi was worried about me. It was a funny feeling. By the way, how about yourself?
え？
Huh? Your leg, your injury. Tsugumi was dragging her right foot.
平気よ。
I'm alright. Are you really? The wound didn't open up or anything, did it?
見たい？
Do you want to see? Tsugumi stopped walking. She quickly flipped up her skirt with her hands. Cut it out! I shook. In shock, I slapped Tsugumi's hand and stopped her. Tsugumi chuckled gleefully. My feet felt much lighter all of a sudden. As for you, it turned out she wasn't as bad as I thought. After resting for about an hour in the infirmary, you regained a surprising amount of her strength. But why did you start suffering like that all of a sudden? I asked you, but she changed the subject and didn't tell me anything. I also asked Sora, but her answer was the same. Sora must have known something since she had examined you with the repaired LMRI. That thought still bothered me. It was still such that only one person at a time could ride the egg. Tsugumi went up first. I rode up shortly after. The egg zipped upward, quickly arriving at its vitae stalk. As soon as I got there, Tsugumi was waiting for me. Chami was sitting on her hand. Tsugumi stuck out both of her arms to the side. Chami walked from one hand to the other, crossing Tsugumi's arms. Tsugumi had such a happy smile on her face that I couldn't help from smiling too. For no particular reason, Tsugumi and I stared at each other for a while.
やる
Do you want to try? Saying so, Tsugumi put Chami on my shoulder. I stretched out my arms, and suddenly Chami charged onto my arms. It tickled so much that I couldn't help but wiggle my body. Chami looked hesitant when he got to the end, which was the tip of my hand. I held Chami gently in my palm and looked at him closely. Chami, huh? Are you Chami? Well, are you? Come on, answer me. Of course, Chami didn't answer. Maybe he was frightened I would eat him. Yeah, he sure is charming. He's Chami because he's so darn charming. Curious, I decided to ask Tsugumi a question. Why are you called Tsugumi? Huh? Your name, I mean. It's true, usually, like, the Japanese, they'll refer to somebody not by their given name, but by their family name with, like, some sort of honorific. As far as I understand, I haven't taken any Japanese. It's kind of like what I picked up on, right? It's like, Tanaka-chan or something. Tanaka-san. Not like you. And if you listen to the voice acting, you'll see that, right? You'll see in the English localization, there'll be like a given name, and then the voice actor will not ever say that given name. They'll say the family name with some like honorific. But I believe, if I recall correctly, in the voice acting, mostly when referring to Tsugumi, they say her name Tsugumi. Now, I believe we do actually know her last name if we were to actually remember it, because I think she says it in like when she gives her backstory in the Jellyfish Gondola. She says like when she woke up from her coma at the Lieblich lab, she said what her name was in full. So it's not like the game is really hiding it. So I don't know. I guess it's like not a mystery, but I forgot what it is. Does it come from Chinese character? Does it come from Chinese character for the bird and red wing? Well, I actually don't know. Kanji. I mean, you know what if you write it with hiragana, you know what the first hiragana would be, right? It's the tsu. And there would be a gu, and then there'd be a mi. There'd be 3 hiragana. Except if you write it with kanji, then I get all confused.
鳥
The bird. If I remember correctly, they migrate, right? Especially when it's an obscure Chinese symbol for a specific species of bird. Like, everyone knows what the Chinese symbol is for, like, the number, like, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Like, father and mother and child and, or man. Like, the jaw.
あのつぐみね
Oh, red wings. Like, the one for middle, the one for big, the one for small. People know those, but not the one for a red wing. Also the one for door, and the one for exit, and the one for entrance. You know, those ones that everyone knows. Anyway.
残念
Also the one for mountain. The san, that one's easy to recognize as well. Anyway, not to disappoint you, but...
鳥とは全く無関係よ
Nope, my name has nothing to do with birds. Then what does your name mean? As I asked Tsugumi, I passed Chami back into her hand. Tsugumi picked up Chammy and told
地
me.
球の衛星と私たちがいる場所。
Satellite of the Earth. And where we are at. So, moon here? Huh?
地球の衛星は？
What's the one satellite this Earth has? This is kind of a big. They're making the moon into this big arc word. Well, the moon. I mean, it depends on what you mean by satellite, but usually if you say the satellite, then you mean the satellite of the Earth, the satellite. Just one, you're referring to the moon. They're artificial pieces of junk we stick in Earth's orbit, and we call them satellites.
私たちが今いる場所は？
And where are we right now? Oh, the Earth. Oh, I get it. It's just Moon Earth. Lemu.
レミューの外には何がある？
What's all around us at Lemu? All around us, the ocean?
そう。
Moon Ocean. Okay.
月に海と書いてつぐみって読むの。
In Japanese, you write it moon and then ocean and read it tsugumi. Oh, I see. Kind of think of it, I didn't know which Chinese characters your name used. Moon and ocean, huh? That's a really pretty name. Wait, so it has nothing to do with how it's pronounced? Well, I guess I haven't taken Japanese yet. I'm gonna have to learn it if I'm gonna play 12 Ribbon. But the kanji don't have anything to do with how the word's pronounced, right? It's what it means. So if you have just a name, it could theoretically be pronounced anyways, right? Because, yeah, as far as I understand it, like the hiragana say how it's pronounced, and then you use the kanji to abbreviate several hiragana based on what that root means. And because, yeah, and which ones you use are based on the meaning of the word and not its pronunciation. Hopefully I'm right about that. But when they say stuff like this, like it's being an American, it's hard to really get what they're going for. I kind of lose it. And that's a really pretty name, especially when it was like Yuka trying to explain how the Shikinomori shrine was saying like to control time. It's like completely lost on me. Tsugumi's cheeks turned pink, and then. Goodness gracious. Well, okay. In the big overarching sense, big hint that somehow, by some timey-wimey stuff, Coco is the child of Tsugumi and Takeshi. In the small scale, she just shipped them. Just Coco and PP came rushing in. I told you not to call me daddy.
ママって呼ぶな。
I told you not to call me mommy. What? Huh? Tsugumi and I looked at each other. Haha, you just got shipped. Coco's been calling you mommy, Tsugumi?
たけしの方こそパパって呼ばれてるの？
And she's been calling you daddy, Takeshi? She keeps doing it no matter what I say.
ねえ、パパ、ママ、なんかして遊ぼう。
Is that English, Papa and Mama? Hey, Papa, Mama, let's play. Why'd they have to, like, translate that? Couldn't they just have transliterated it? I mean, Papa is a perfectly fine, like, diminutive form of dad. in English, and Baba and Mama are perfectly fine English things to say too. You could just transliterate it, which wouldn't even be a transliteration. It would just be like copying. After a while, Sugumi and I had begged Coco not to call us daddy or mommy. It took us about 3 hours to finally convince her. It was 3 times more exhausting to convince Coco than to dash with you on my back and swim underwater 102 meters. By the way, Coco's reason for calling Sugumi mommy was...
ママのいない人はママっぽい人のことをママって呼んでもいいんだよ。
A girl who doesn't have a mommy can call somebody who reminds her of her mommy, mommy. Yeah, but you're literally shipping real people, and don't do that.
ナーカル碑文にそう書いてあるでしょ。
It's written in the Nakal tablet, wasn't it? Yeah, and I noticed that for those last few lines, I've completely dropped doing the whole Natsuki voice for Coco. Maybe I should start doing it again. But then I don't know if that really worked out too well. I don't know. So she said. Needless to say, Coco already had a real mother. After finally convincing Coco, I went to see you. Even before I had gone to rescue Chammy, you had seemed to be recovering her strength. But the way she looked when she had first started feeling pain didn't seem normal. It's like she just got gallstones. I was still concerned about her even though she looked better. So I decided to make sure you was alright. Sora told me I could find you in the security office. I entered the room. You was sitting in front of the console, staring blankly at the screen. Hi. I called out a greeting as I sat down in the seat next to her. You grabbed a coffee cup, took big a gulp, and said,
ありがとう。
Thank you. This is probably like showing through, because like every once in a while I'm pausing my recording and going and doing a set of squats, then coming back and doing more recording, and like I don't wait for me to stop breathing heavy and then it comes through. Huh?
まだちゃんとお礼言ってなかったでしょ。
I didn't have a chance to say it earlier, right?
だからありがとう。
So thank you. Yu's eyes were fixed on the display. Are you talking about when I carried you to the infirmary earlier? Yes. You don't have to thank me. I just want to ask you a question. What caused it anyway?
原因？何のこと？
Cause? What are you talking about? You still wouldn't look at me. A normal, healthy person wouldn't just suddenly clutch their chest in pain, you know. And besides, you said it happens all the time. What is that all about? When I asked, she turned the seat halfway and stood up.
ねえ、クラナリ。私がレミューに来た本当の理由、覚えてる？
Hey Takeshi, do you remember why I came to Lamu? You changed the subject all of a sudden. I didn't understand why she was asking the question, but I answered her anyway. Yeah, I do. You came to get a part-time job for the holidays, but it was just an excuse to search for your father, who had been missing for 17 years, right? I remembered the story you told me in front of the merry-go-round the first day.
お母さん、お父さんのこと死んじゃったんだって思ってるみたい。
Mom seems to think my dad is already dead.
でもね。
But you know, she may not even have a dad.
私は信じてるの。
I believe.
お父さんは絶対どこかで生きてるんだよ。
I know my dad is still alive somewhere.
だってそうでしょ？
He's got to be.
お父さんはただ行方不明になっただけで、
He just
遺
went
体が
missing.
見つ
They
かっ
never
たわけ
found
じゃ
his.
ないんだし。
They never found his body. Huh. Now I'm thinking is Yu's dad. Interesting.
私
Like
どうして
Yu's
も
dad
確
is
かめたかったの。
like Yu's dad is a character or something. Like he's the kid or something. I just had to find out, which would be weird because she dates him. But anyway, I just had to find
お
out.
父さんが生きてるのか、それとももう死んじゃったのか。
If he was alive or dead.
生きてるんならもちろん会いたいし、
If he is alive, of course I want to see him.
死んじゃってるんなら死んじゃってるんで、 しっかりとした証拠っていうか確証っていうかそういうのが欲しかったの。
And if he's dead, I wanted to find some kind of evidence.
じゃないと諦めきれないから。
Otherwise, I won't give
納
up.
得
I
で
just
きな
can't
いから。
accept it. Just like that time, I didn't know what to say to her. The story of the 800-year-old nun came to my mind. You believed that the 800-year-old nun actually existed. How in the story, the sound of the bell had stopped one day, but nobody actually found her body. When I came to think of it, then, I realized that was probably Yu's wish. She was probably mixing her feelings about her father's situation with the story of the nun. It occurred to me that way.
今もね、実はそれを調べてたところだったの。
And that's what I was researching just now. And did you find out anything?
何も。
Nothing.
パスワードがわからなくてお手上げ状態。
I can't figure out the password. I give up. I looked at the monitor. The authentication window was being displayed. The cursor was flashing without a sound. I see. Biting her lip, you glanced down dejectedly. She was wrapped in a hazy blue light from the display. I picked up the cup from the table and sipped some of Yu's leftover coffee. Takeshi? Well, it's a very Takeshi thing to do. It was cold. It's all right. You know you'll see him again. What? When you drown? I looked down into the cup. The black coffee hid the cup bottom of the cup from my view.
ありがとう。
Thank you.
でももう会えないと思う。
But I don't think I'll ever see him again. What? I looked up in surprise. Yu was forcing herself to smile. She squinted her eyes and looked off into the distance.
私がここに来たのはお父さんの聖書を確かめたかったから。
I came here because I thought I wanted to find out about my
だ
dad.
けど本当はそれだけじゃないんだ。
But I realized actually that wasn't it at all.
私には時間がないの。
I'm running out of time.
タイムリミットはもうとっくに過ぎちゃってるんだよ。
I've gone way past my limit.
だからどうしても
So that's why.
その時が来るまでにどうしても知りたかったの。
Before the time comes, I had to know
真実を。
the truth. She's running out of time. I mean, that usually indicates that she's going to die soon from some terminal disease or some artificial limiter installed in her. But she lives 2 years after the end of this in the kid's route. So it doesn't make any sense. She doesn't think she'll ever see him again. It happens all the time. She's been suffering with her hand on her chest. No, it can't be. She needs a heart transplant, essentially? I didn't even want to think about it. Closing my eyes, I took a deep breath and tried to shake bad thoughts from my mind. Hey, you? What do you mean by that? You crossed her arms behind her back and started walking slowly away, head down. She stopped in front of the wall, turned around, and walked back in front of me. The sound of her shoes echoed on the hard floor. The cursor silently flashing on the display. The cold coffee in my hand. I looked into the cup again. The glossy liquid was rippling with small waves.
言えない。
I can't tell you. The sound of her shoes stopped abruptly. Why? She raised her face quietly and said,
今言ったらきっと話さなくてもいいことまで話しちゃうような気がするから。
If I start telling you now, I might talk about things I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about. But
倉成は
Takeshi, you interrupted my words and went on.
倉成は罪を犯したことある？
Have you ever done something wrong or sinned, Takeshi? Well, I can speak for Takeshi. Yes. Sinned?
そう、
Yes.
神に背くような大罪。
A massive sin.
ただし 神を信じてるとか信じてないとかそういうことは関係なくて。
I don't care whether you believe in God or not. And this is, in this context, if you have a singular God like that, you should capitalize the G. So, you should capitalize your G. I'm sorry.
ただ倫理的に道徳的に取り返しのつかない過ちを犯したことがあるかどうか、それを聞いてるの。
I'm asking you if you ever committed a sin that was morally wrong and there was nothing you could do to mend it. This is the first choice in a long time, like 3 hours. Okay, now, yes. Well, I guess I might have.
何をしたの？
What have you done? Well, different things, I guess. It is really hard to list your sins. Like, you want to forget about them. Like, I wouldn't be able to list my sins very effectively. Although, Martin Luther could, when he was a nun.
私には話せないようなこと？
Things you can't tell me? I don't really want to talk about it, to be honest. I think that sins are something you carry through life by yourself. It seems cowardly for me to unburden it onto someone else and beg for pity and compassion.
私もそう思う。
I feel the same way.
だから言えないんだよ。
That's why I can't tell you. Now, considering this is fiction, what kind of sins in fiction would this... I know, like, the classical, like, interpretation of this is that she's pregnant. But... Huh. Like, if they mention sin and they don't give you anything else besides just sin, that implies sex. But why does that have to do with heartburn? Or, like, heart defects? It could be a reference to sort of ancient Hebrew or ancient Jewish culture, not necessarily ancient, like around the time of Jesus, where they thought that diseases were a punishment from God for sins, right? So if you remember, Jesus was given which man? Which of, because there's like, he had paralyzed men he healed, there's a deaf man, there's a blind man, but one of these, he was asked by the crowd, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind, I guess. And Jesus said, neither. He was born this way in order so that the glory of God can be demonstrated in me healing him, or that I can give a sign by healing him. So that not all disease is a punishment by God for sin. And so you can't just assume that. But yeah, like clutching your chest doesn't really seem to have anything to do with like sex or like consequences of it. It's like the first sin, which is simply which is simply disobeying the arbitrary rule of God, right? Desiring to be like God. First sin was just rejecting the authority of God straightforward. Second recorded sin, murder. The third recorded sin, violence and corruption. So when they use that expression like the ancient sin or the oldest sin is fornication, not really. The oldest sin, as far as I would interpret it, I would probably go for Cain murdering Abel and say the oldest sin was murder.
今蔵なりに話したらそれはきっと言い訳になってしまうから。
If I tell you now, it would just be an excuse. And these, of course, would be the visible, outwardly visible sins. There are many more not outwardly visible sins.
決して犯してはならない一線を私は越えてしまったの。
I crossed a line that should have never been crossed.
神に背いたの。
I turned my back on God. Again, it's lowercase God, which again bugs me.
これは私にとっての現在みたいなもの。
It's like an original sin to me.
絶対に逃れることはできないし、逃れようとも思わない。
I could never escape from it, and I don't intend to.
私は死ぬまで、
As long as I live.
そう、死ぬまでこの罪を背負いながら、
Yes, as long as
削
I
りながら生きていかなければならないの。
Yes, as long as I live, I must carry the sin with me.
でもね、
But you know what?
ひどいやつだと思われるかもしれないけど、後悔はしてないんだ。
You might think I'm horrible, but I don't regret anything.
むしろ良かったと思ってるくらい。
It is probably better this way.
だって罪を犯したのは私だけなんだから。
Because this way, I'm the only one who has sinned.
だから罰を受けなきゃいけないのも私だけで。
This means I'm the only one who will be punished.
彼女には何の罪もないんだもん。
She has no sin to carry on. She? Who are you talking about?
私自身のこと。
About myself. The other you.
もう一人の私。
Yep, my other self. I guess I'm starting. I guess I'm starting to pick. I didn't take until now to pick up on this as an explanation why she wouldn't see her father again. She's explaining why she's going to go to hell. Yeah, okay. Now I get it. And then I'm gonna like get all evangelical on you and say there is no sin you can commit that will send you to hell. There is none. Besides rejecting redemption for sin. Besides rejecting Jesus, there's nothing else you could do that could send you to hell. Your other self? Yubisai Harukana. Are you telling me you have split personality? You didn't say anything and took the cup from my hand. She sipped the cold coffee. For some reason, you suddenly tilted the cup. The black liquid, overtaken by the force of gravity, went splashing to the floor. Yu's eyes were fixed on me. There was no expression on her face. All the emotion had gone from her face, and I couldn't see what she was thinking. Her eyes were dark, dull, and without a spark, like a pair of glass beads and an ash gray. Eventually, Yu whispered,
彼女、
She is
私の妹なの。
my sister. Your sister.
そう。
Yes.
だけど、彼女は私自身でもあるの。
And at the same time, she is me.
彼女と私は
She and I are clones.
双子だから。
Twins, you see.
彼女は私の
She is my
双子の妹だから。
twin sister.
二卵性のソーセージ
Fraternal twins? You yelped right next to my ear. Why are you so surprised about it? Didn't I tell you?
マヨと少年が双子の兄弟だっていうのは聞いてたよ。
Well, yeah, I heard that you and Mayo were twins, but
でも一卵性とか二卵性とかそういうのはまだ。
nothing about fraternal or identical or anything like that. Oh, but blah ha ha. I found myself laughing in spite of myself. You cocked her head. Well, of course we're fraternal twins. I mean, I'm a guy and Sarah's a girl.
どうして当たり前なの？
Oh, it's two words. Monozygotic is when one egg is fertilized, and then that embryo splits into two. So both twins have the exact same genetic makeup. That's why they're called identical, because they look the same, and of course they are the same gender. So for identical twins, you can't have anything other than two boys or two girls. But dizygotic, on the other hand, is when two different eggs are fertilized by different sperm. So they're two separate entities from the beginning, each with a different genetic makeup. That way, they may or may not be the same gender. They may not even look much alike. They're basically just like other siblings. So they are more like siblings who happen to be in their mother's body and get born about the same time.
なるほどね。
I get
っ
it.
てことは、男の子と女の子の双子だったっていう時点で、すでに二卵性であることは確実なわけだ。
Why would you not know this? So that they can explain it to the player, but why would the player not know this? So if a boy and a girl are twins, they have to be fraternal, not identical? Exactly.
で、何の話だったっけ？
So what were you talking about again? It's like the game is like lampshading. They just interjected that for an explanation, even though that was completely unnecessary. You forgot?
えーっと、えーっと。
Well, it started when you said something like, "So Mayo and you are twins, but you aren't any good at computers like Mayo is. In fact, you've got absolutely no appetite for them. Why is that?" And then I said, "Because we're fraternal twins."
おー、イエーイ！思い出しました！
That is so unnatural. Oh, right, I remember now. You flailed your limbs around on top of the ruins. That's right, you and I were on the top of the Lemurian ruins. So after all that, do you get it?
何が？
Huh, get what? She paused in her flailing. The reason I'm not good at computers.
あ、それね。こういうことでしょ？
That wasn't the reason that you're not good at computers. That is the reason why you wouldn't necessarily have to be good at computers. Oh, that. It's like this,
マ
right?
ヨと少年には年の離れた兄弟と同じような差異があるわけだから。
Because you and Mayo are as different from one another as any other
一
siblings.
卵性の双子とは違ってそれぞれに遺伝した能力っていうのかな、素質っていうのかな、そういうのも全然違うってことなんだよね、きっと。
Unlike identical twins, your genetic strengths, characters, or whatever are completely different. Right. I'd say that our infrared vision is the only inherited trait that we even share. Aside from that, I don't think we're very much alike.
で、その前は何の話だったっけ？
So what were we talking about before that? Ah, I sighed and started explaining. Before that, I needed to explain that what you and I were doing there. It went back to that afternoon, before I knew my real name. Sora came out with some information rather
田
abruptly.
中陽一さんは今から17年前にお亡くなりになっています。
Yoiki Tanaka passed away 17 years ago.
田中幸恵さんも15年前に他界されたようです。
Yuki Tanaka passed away 15 years ago as well. What? Huh? That's weird. I thought that Yoiki Tanaka passed away 34 years ago. Was I wrong? Huh? Yoiki was Yu's father and Yuki was her mother. Both of Yu's parents had passed away. It was unfortunately a fact that was true. There was proof, including dated mail and other files. I had seen them with my own eyes. But Yu still wasn't convinced. In her heart, she still believed that her father was alive. Of course, regarding her mother, she was even more
だっ
vehement.
てお母さんはレミューで働いてるのよ。
But my mother works at
つ
Lemu.
いこの間まで一緒に住んでたのよ。
We were living together until right before all this happened.
それが15年前に死んだなんて。
There's no way she died 15 years ago. It was hard to know what to say, but I said this. Maybe she wasn't your real mother. Meaning she might have not even be Yuki. Yu was shaking her head back and forth as if to say impossible. After a while, you spoke as if in a dream.
ああ。 あそこに侵入することさえできればな。
If only I could hack into there.
そうすればもっと詳細な内容が全貌がわかるのにな。
And I could find out details, get the whole story. The threat that there she was pointing at was Lemiz's high security data. All afternoon and into the night, she had tried to hack her way in, but kept getting rejected at the confirmation point. She knew the password. The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me. She kept trying different variations, caps, lowercase, different fonts, Latin, German. She enlisted Sora and Sara's help, and they tried every possibility they could think of, but all to no avail. Lemay had built a high, impenetrable castle, and Yu had turned back again and again right at the gates. She was stricken with frustration and grief. Finally exhausted and at a loss, she found her way over to Lemurian ruins. By the time I spotted her, she had climbed all the way to the top. I sat down beside her. Neither of us spoke. But from time to time, Yu would let out a sigh like she had thought of something. Time passed slowly.
ねえ、少年は予知ができるんでしょ？
Listen, kid, you got premonitions, right? After about the 153rd sigh, you suddenly came out with this
私
question.
のお父さんとお母さんについてなんかわかることないの？
Can you see anything about my parents? Well, you know, premonitions aren't the same as seeing into the past. And you're talking about 15 and 17 years ago, when I was only 1, or not even born yet. Either way, there's no way I can look that far into the past.
まったくもう使えないやっちゃな。
You're totally useless.
空とマヨが悪戦苦闘してた時だって少年はそばでぼんやりと見てただけだったし。
Even when Sora and Mayo were killing themselves helping me, you were just sitting there spaced out.
あ、そういえば
Hey, actually,
マヨと少年は双子なんだよね。
you and Mayo are twins, right?
なのに少年はマヨみたいにコンピューター関係に詳しいわけじゃない。
But you're not good with computers the way she is.
その資質もどうやらありそうもない。これはどうして？
In fact, you don't have any aptitude with them at all. Why is that? That's when I answered. I said we were fraternal twins.
わお！バナナバナナ！
Banana, banana.
思い出しましキュッキュッキュッキュッキュッキュッ出しましキュッキュッキュッキュッキュッキュッキュッ出しまし
I remember now, repeated.
キュッキュッキュッキュッキュッキュッキュッキュッ思い出しました。
Okay. You appear to be malfunctioning. The harsh reality of things must have been too cruel for her to hear. Or bear. When Sora first told her, you went hysterical, almost crazy, and then burst into a sobbing fit like a child. Maybe she had cried herself out, because since then she had seemed much calmer. Right, it had to have been 34 years ago, because she was questioning how it would make any sense at all. In order for him to be her father, he would have had to be at least been alive, like, at a certain date. Something's... If you're confused at what's going on, I thought that Yu's mother died 15 years ago, and her dad died 34 years ago. That's what I thought it said. As the kid Yu's route. And now it's telling me that her mom died 15 years ago and her dad died 17 years ago. Twice now. Now I'm like, am I going crazy or something? But now...
Apple, apple, pineapple!
Okay. She was in bad shape. Are you okay? What's that? Maybe you're a little psychologically strained.
全然平気だよ。
No way, I'm fine.
私もうこの際だから開き直ることにしたの。
I'm starting over from
う
here.
じうじ考えててもしょうがないでしょ。
No point in moping, right?
私のことよりも北太の方はどうなの？
Enough about me. How about you, Hokutan? Hokutan?
だって少年の名前北斗なんでしょ？だから北太。
Your name is Hokuto, right? So Hokutan. Cut it out, don't call me
ど
that.
うして？
Why not? I still can't think of myself as Hokuto. That's so hard to remember. If I was walking down the street and someone called out Hokuto, I wouldn't turn around. In fact, I don't think I could. It wouldn't seem like they were calling out to me.
そんなバカママのこと言ったってダメだよ。
Well, even if that's what you think, that's just too bad.
君はこれから死ぬまで北斗っていう名前を背負って生きていかなきゃいけないんだから。
Your name is Hokuto until you die, and you're going to have to live with that. But if nothing else, I don't want you guys here to call me Hokuto. I'm used to being called Kid, and you guys are used to it too, right? You can't just switch in the middle like that.
まあ確かにそれもそうだけど。
Well, I suppose, but still.
じゃあ本当に少年のままでいいのね？
You really want to stay Kid? Yeah, that's fine. I had told her how I felt.
そんなに北斗っていう名前嫌いなの？
You really hate Hokuto that much? Listen, for the millionth time, I just don't think that Hokuto is my name. It's got nothing to do with liking or disliking the name.
ふーん。
Really? Look, I said this when we were talking about Ling Ling and Lang Lang, but I don't really care what my name is. I'm not fussy, and I'm certainly not attached to
だけ
it.
どどうでもいいってことはないと思うよ。
But you can't not care at all.
好き嫌いは別として名前っていうのは一応その人の看板なわけだから。
Whether you like it or not, a name is like a billboard for who you are.
この社会で生きている以上いつかは必ず名前を必要とする時が訪れるの。
If you're going to live in society, you'll need a name eventually.
例えば契約を交わす時とか申請を出す時とか試験の時とかおまわりにパクられた時とか。
I mean, anytime that you make a contract or apply for something or take an exam or get arrested.
なんだかんだ言っても本人かどうかを確認する時には名前ってものが一番重要視されるんだよ。
Whatever you say, your name is the most important way to verify who you are.
いわば名前は人間を識別するための記号みたいなものね。
Names are like ID numbers for people. Identification. The word just slipped out. And then...
今なんて言った？
What'd you just say? You grabbed the back of my head and pulled my face toward hers. What?
今よ今少年なんて言ったのよ。
Just then, just now, now, kid, what did you just say? I didn't say anything. I just repeated back what you were saying. You leveled a determined glare at me. She raised her finger and twirled it like a magic wand. She breathed in through her nose. I waited for her to breathe out, but she kept breathing in and in. I covered my eyes. She grabbed my hands and pulled them away from my ears. And then, with all the air she had just sucked in, she let loose right next to me.
わかっちゃった。
I've got it! She grinned loosely. I just kept blinking at her. And then...
わかっちゃったです。私わかっちゃったです。
I got it. I
see てる。ちょ。
I see. I sincerely love you, Smooch. All of a sudden, out of the blue and with no warning, she kissed my cheek. A perfect hit. I was a little giddy.
ほら早く聞いて。
Well, hurry up, ask me.
ね
Ask.
えねえ何がわかったのって聞いて。
Don't ask me, hey you, what did you figure out? I did as I was told. Hey you, what did you figure
お
out?
よくぞ聞いてくれました少年。
Funny you should ask, kid.
実はどうしてレミの認証をクリアできなかったのかその本当の原因がわかったのであります。
You see, you know the reason why we couldn't get past the confirmation in Lemay? I figured it out.
私たち今までずっとパスワードが間違ってるって思ってたじゃない？
All this time we thought we had the password wrong, right?
でもそうじゃなかったの。
But that wasn't it.
パスワードは多分あれでいいんだと思う。
The password is probably fine.
海月の虚空に涼しホトトギス。
The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me. What do you mean?
だからぶっちゃけこういうこと。
So it's got to be this.
間違ってたのはパスワードじゃなくて名前だったのよ。
It wasn't the password we had wrong, it was the username. Username.
そう名前。
Yup.
名前は人間を識別するための記号。 本人かどうかを確認するときに一番重要視されるもの。
Well, but so the username is Yubisaiharu Kana? A name is like an identification number for a person. It's what confirms who you are.
つまり名前が間違ってたらいくらパスワードが正しくても認証は下りないってこと。
So if we had the name wrong, it wouldn't matter how perfectly we put the password in. Access denied, invalid name or password. I'd see that message up teen
少
times.
年が言ったように、もしも私の知ってるお母さんが本当のお母さんじゃないとしたら、
If you were right and the mother I knew wasn't my real mother,
彼女の本名は田中幸恵ではないってことになる。
it would mean that her real name wasn't Yuki Tanaka,
ということは
which would mean if you just knew her real name, you could clearly miss confirmation.
正解。
Exactly. You tapped her forehead. But how will you figure out her real
そ
name?
れは
Well,
空に聞いてみればわかるでしょ。
Sora ought to know, right? Before I could say Sora, you had grabbed my arms. A second later, Ai! She jumped down off the ruins with a great cry. Pulled off balance, I flew clumsily through the air. Bam. I nearly toppled onto my head, but managed to right myself like a cat and landed safely. My own excellent reflexes impressed me. As for you, she was sprawled on her belly in a puddle, arms and legs spread awkwardly. You okay? When I called her name, you hopped up. Water dripped from her hair. She was soaked from head to toe.
グツグツしないで早く行くよ。
Well, don't just stand there. Let's go. You spoke calmly. Fleeing off water, she headed toward the exit. From the back, she looked completely dry. I stood for a minute in front of the gates of the Lemurian ruins, just
少
thinking.
年が言ったように、もしも私の知ってるお母さんが本当のお母さんじゃないとしたら、
If you are right, and the mother I know isn't my real
彼
mother,
女の本名は田中幸恵ではないってことになる。
it means her real name isn't Yuki Tanaka. So what her name? What was her name then? Name. Yu's real name is Yubi Sayaki Kana. Yubi Sayaki Kana. Aki meaning autumn. Autumn. The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls, brings a chill to me. I broke it down by the character, empty fall sky, single cuckoo calling brings chill. A jumble of bits and illogical fragments. I tried to form them into a coherent pattern, but they slipped away. I couldn't grasp them. I don't know if you could do that in English, because I don't know if the word order is the same. That's the problem. I couldn't help but feel that I had brushed up against another premonition, or at least an intuition. It was a haiku, 17 syllables. I muttered it out loud. The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me. The empty fall sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me. It was then someone was standing in the darkness beyond the entrance to the ruins. A human figure, a female. Her body was giving off heat, glowing redder than red. I could see her face. I could just see that she was there. She was holding her breath in the darkness, staring at me. Who are you? She didn't answer. She didn't come any closer, but she didn't seem like she was going to run. The figure bathed in light looked like she might be a ghost. A phantom girl. Hokuto. I heard a tiny voice. Hokuto, my name. Was she calling to me? Hokuto. Fearfully, I went a little closer. The darkness grew deeper. And at the same time, the light she gave off grew more brilliant. Her outline sprang into view. It had to be. She was the ghost I had seen.
北斗残す海過ぎし時に通ず
The empty foul sky. Okuto is calling out. Brings a chill to me.
海月の黒雲に涼しホトトギス。
The empty foul sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me.
Huh? Hmm? What did you just say?
海月の黒雲に涼しホトトギスって言ったんだよ。
The empty foul sky, a single cuckoo calls out, brings a chill to me.
What is that? Is that some haiku?
Yeah. Why a haiku all of a sudden?
風流でしょう。
Don't you think it's elegant?
Elegant.
みやびやかでしょ。
Refined, isn't it?
Refined?
大昔の日本人は突然俳句とか読んじゃってみたりなんかしたらしいですよ。
Japanese people a long time ago suddenly just started one day making up haiku.
ほいでもってですな、
So you see,
一句読むことによって世俗的な日常をしばし忘れ優雅な気分に浸ってたらしいですよ。
the haiku helped them forget their everyday cares and gave them lots of graceful and happy feelings.
Oh, is that so?
そうなんですよ。
Oh ho, yes it is.
But listen, Coco, it's not once upon time right now, and you kind of threw me off guard with your haiku making there.
でもしょうがないじゃん。
Well, I can't help it.
What do you mean you can't help it?
ここたけちゃんとお話ししてたんじゃないんだもん。
I wasn't talking to you.
What?
ここはね、今異次元の生命体とお話ししてたの。
I was talking to a life form from another dimension.
Another dimension. That is correct. She is.
そうだよ。
Well, yeah.
Apparently, Coco is radiating microwaves. Oh, my head, my head. I could feel my brain starting to melt and coming out my nose. Wait a minute. My brains couldn't be coming out my nose. I rubbed my nose with my finger. Something sticky and viscous was stuck to my finger. It was bright yellow. Crap. Crap, my brains are melting.
Hehehe.
Shut up, it's not funny, stupid. It's your fault that my brains.
Insane in the membrane. Insane in the brain.
Coco was stamping her feet, grabbing her belly, and laughing uproariously. Hey, actually, 30 minutes before.
ねえ、たけぴょん、たけぴょん。
Hey, Take Pion.
起きてよ。
Wake up.
眠れないんだよ。
I can't sleep.
一緒に遊ぼうよ。
Come play with me.
While saying this, she was shaking me, grasping my eyelids, and dropping in mermaid tears and squirting mustard up my nose. Unable to withstand Coco's brutal attacks, I meekly went along with her request. Which meant this wasn't brains, it's mustard. Coco toppled over right into a puddle. Splashing the water around, she kept laughing and rolling back and forth. Damn it. Coco, you don't have a tissue?
ハンカチならあるよ。
I have a handkerchief.
She pulled a handkerchief out of her pocket and fluttered it at me. The handkerchief was soaked, and drops of water dripped from it. I blew my nose into it mightily. I blew until I blew out everything there was to blow. Whew, that's better. I balled it up and gave it back to Coco. She carefully folded it up and put it back in her pocket, covered in mustard. I thought you actually putting that back, but held my tongue. So, what are we talking about?
芋虫くにゃくにゃの話だよ。
About inchworm inching.
No, we weren't.
芋虫、芋虫、くにゃ、くにゃ。
Inchworm inchy inchworm.
芋虫、芋虫、ぷっぷくぷー。
Inchworm, bookaboo.
Coco began inching along the floor flat on her belly. I wouldn't say a word.
ねえねえ、たけぴょん、たけぴょん。
Hey, take pion.
I'm not playing inchworm with you.
どうしてや
But why not?
I'm just not.
だやだやだやだやだ。
No.
There's only 5 no's. I don't know why they wrote 6.
芋むしたい、芋むしたい、芋むしたい。
I wanna inchwormy. There were 3, but for some reason they only wrote 2.
Coco splashed at the water. I went through this last night. There's no way I'm making the same mistake today. I swore this to myself. I'm going to bed.
What?
She jumped up and clung to me sopping wet.
ダメ、絶対に寝かせないから。
No, I won't let you sleep.
Coco, I'm sleeping whether you let me or not.
なんでそうやっていじめるんだよ。
Just need some Soparil. No, you won't be able to wake me up.
Why are you being so mean?
You're the one being mean, Coco.
たけぴょんはここを置き去りにしても平気なの？
Coco would be a master at prisoner abuse.
Take pion is just gonna abandon poor little Coco.
ここ一人ぼっちになっちゃうんだよ。
I'll be all alone.
寂しいよ、寂しいよ。
Lonely, so lonely.
Why are you being like this? Why don't you come sleep too?
一緒に
With you,
たけぴょん、ここと添い寝してくれるの？
you'll come snuggle with me.
That would be harder to explain. So maybe I should just do the worm. Is that how this is gonna go? I don't think so.
ほいじゃあさ、子守歌歌ってくれる？
Well, at least will you sing me a lullaby?
A lullaby? Oh, you mean that one you sang before? Yeah. Well, I don't mind singing, but I don't remember the words or the tune.
大丈夫だよ。
That's okay.
簡単だからすぐに覚えられるはず。
It's easy. You'll learn it right away.
Saying that, she burst into song abruptly.
長湯店を石月のせい夢の中より待ち降りぬ今宵柳つくよみ林早く今かと待ち降りぬ眠りたも眠りたも母に抱かれて若い掲げし水のせい夢の中より待ち降りぬ り船渦巻き鬼早くこんかと町降りぬ眠りたもゆるゆるゆられ眠りたも海に抱かれて
That was it? As soon as I heard Coco's lullaby, I felt a wondrous tranquility. I felt a tickle in my chest, like someone had blown lightly on me. This breath blew away all the dust and dirt that had built up inside me and revealing precious feelings I had thought lost long ago. Precious wonder like the vastness of the sky, as it seemed to me when I was a little child, or the deep blue waves of the fragrance at twilight. Back when I thought the ocean went on forever, and I was transfixed by the perfect beauty of the moon. For better or for worse, a delightfully sweet time. Coco's lullaby called up a sentimental mood in me. Anyway, that's a sentimental mood composed by Duke Ellington, I believe, and you perform it as a trombone solo. Lost in its sweet fragments, I made the mistake of drowning in it. What a good song. Yeah. What's it called?
さあ、題名とかまでは聞いてないけど、
Who knows? I don't know its name.
でもね、ココは勝手に月と海の子守歌って呼んでるんだ。
But I just call it the moon and the ocean lullaby.
Moon and ocean. But don't the verses start moon sprite and water sprite? So shouldn't it be the moon and water lullaby?
だって2番の最後に海に抱かれてってところがあるでしょ。
But at the end of the second verse, it says held by the ocean, right?
Oh, that's true. They're trying to contrive it such that it's the Tsugumi lullaby. Because again, remember her name is Moon and then Ocean.
それにこれ、ママに教えてもらった子守歌だし。
And my mommy taught me this lullaby.
だから月と海の子守歌なの。
So it's called the moon and the ocean lullaby.
There you go. So she learned it from Tsugumi. So Sara learned it from Tsugumi. But Sara doesn't like Tsugumi that much. What? What's the connection between your mom and the moon and the ocean? Wait. Mommy? Moon and sea? Does that mean... When you say mommy...
つぐみんのことだよ。
Right. Tsugumi.
つぐみんが、
Tsugumi.
つぐみんが歌って聞かせてくれたの。
So, back to Coco talking to someone in another dimension.
She would sing it to me.
Tsugumi? But that's crazy. That's impossible. But no one knows that lullaby except Sara and me.
Ha 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 ha. The plot is much thicker than you think.
Why are you laughing?
北端、自分で言ってること変だと思わない？
Octan, don't you think it's strange what you're saying?
What?
北端は今、 混乱しちゃってるんだ。
Right now, you're a little confused.
だからついつい本音が出ちゃったんだよ。
So, you showed your true self for a minute.
北端の中にいる本当の自分がぴょこって顔を出しちゃったの。
Your real you decided to poke his face out for a teensy-weensy second.
Huh. I'm trying to get it, like, but no one knows that lullaby except Sarah and me. That's his real how?
いい？北端。よく考えてみて。
Listen, Hoktan. Think about it.
あの子守歌、つぐみんが知ってても別に不思議じゃないよね。
It's not really that strange for Tsugumi to know that lullaby, right?
だってマヨちゃんがつぐみんに教えただけかもしれないじゃない？
Ayo could have just taught it to Tsugumi, right?
No, because Mayo didn't. Mayo wasn't even alive when you were doing your whole Trapped in Lemu saga. She could have taught to Tsugumi, but that would have been later in Tsugumi's life afterwards.
で、つぐみんがここに教えてくれて、
And then Tsugumi taught it to me.
That's not possible.
なんでそう思うの？
What makes you say that?
Because
答えられないかな。
Maybe you can't answer that.
the other would be the other way around. She would have teach it to Tsugumi, and then Tsugumi would then teach it to Sarah.
じゃあ、ここが代わりに教えてあげる。
Except that Coco specifically said that she was taught it by Tsugumi.
Well, then I'll just answer for you.
北端はね、ここのいる世界にマヨちゃんが存在しないことを知ってるんだよ。
You see, Hokutan, you know that Mayo doesn't exist in the world I live in.
だから今、そんなはずないって言ったんだ。
That's why you said, no way.
つぐみんが子守歌を知ってるなんてありえない。そんな風に北端が思っちゃったのも、実はそのせいなんだ。
And that is the reason you thought that there was no way that Tsugumi could know that song,
ね、そうでしょ？
right?
What?
大丈夫だよ。怖がらなくてもいいの。
It's okay, you don't have to be scared.
もっと自分の気持ちに正直になって。
Just be honest with your feelings, okay?
もう嘘なんてつく必要ないんだから。
There's no reason for you to lie anymore.
I was getting more and more confused. I was being gobbled up by one problem after another, being chewed up for sport, and I felt like I was losing myself. I squeezed my eyes shut, took a big breath, and tried to maintain a grip on reality. I opened my eyes, stared at Coco, and asked, the world you live in, what does that mean?
ほら、またそうやってすぐ嘘つくんだから。
See now, there you go, lying again.
北端はココのいる世界のこと知ってるはずでしょ？
You know all about the world I'm in.
そこにはマヨちゃんがいなくてつぐみんが怪我しちゃって顔の違うもう一人の自分が存在して。
Mayo's not there, and Tsugumi got hurt, and there's another you with a different face.
Oh, got me. That really messed with your head. Okay. Wow. What does Takeshi look like in Takeshi? You never see the kid in the kid's routes because you play as the kid. And there's no CGs of the kid in the kid's routes except that one where his face is different. So you go through the game playing as the kid, assuming because they call him kid, that it's the same looking dude, same person they called kid in Takeshi's route. But the only thing that's the same is that they're both called kid. Or at least they look different, they're just both called the kid, and that tricks you up. Oh. Oh, I should have saw that coming because I knew about that trick. Wow. Okay. I just got Uchikoshi'd. Pretty hard. Wow.
そういうこと、北端は全部知ってるんだ。
This is also knocking on the fourth wall. You know all that stuff. The world Koko's in. Another self. Tsugumi injured. Where there was no Sara. What, a world without Sara?
That's right. Hang on. Why do you know about Sara?
あ、やっと本当の自分出す気になったみたいね。
You're finally ready to come clean.
うむうむ。ではお答えしましょう。
Okay, then. I'll tell you.
ここはね、何でも知ってるから。
It's because I know everything.
何でも知ってるから。まよちゃんのことも知ってるの。
I know everything, so I know about Mayo.
それはどうしてかっていうと、ここには超能力があるからなの。
And the reason for that is I have ESP.
うししししししししし。
Stop trying to mess with me.
ごまかしてなんかいないもん。本当のことなんだもん。
I'm not. It's true.
じゃあ逆に聞くけど、北端はどうしてここのこと知ってるの？知ってたの？
Okay, let me ask you a question then. Okay, Hukatan, how come you know me? Why did you know about me?
一番最初、加減圧室で会った時、北端はここの名前言ったよね。なんでかな？
That first time when we met in the decompression chamber, you said my name, didn't you? And why would that be?
It was sort of like a premonition, an insight.
ふーん。
Huh?
ほいじゃあさ、ピピのことは？
Well, what about Pee-Pee?
What?
北端、ピピのことだって知ってるはずだよ。
You know about Pee-Pee, don't you, Hokutan?
No, I have no idea.
そう？おかしいな。
Oh, that's funny.
ピピっていうのはね、ココの飼ってる子猫のことなんだけど。
She's gonna bait it out of him here. Watch this.
Well, Pee-Pee is this little kitten that I have.
Cat? Got him.
やーい引っかかった引っかかった。
Gotcha. I gotcha. You fell for it.
今ココが子猫って言った時ビクってしたよね。ビクってしたよね。
When I said kitten just then, you did a double take, right?
なんで驚いたりしたの？どうして？
Why would that surprise you?
北端、ピピが犬だってこと知ってたんでしょ？だから驚いたんだよね。
Because you know that Pee-Pee is really a dog, that's why.
もうとぼけるのはおしまい。演技するのもおしまい。
Stop asking and stop playing dumb.
北端はココのいる世界を今までずーっと見てきたんだ。
You've known all about my world all along. You had to have played that route in order to unlock this ending.
だから全部知ってるんだ。
That's why you know everything.
ティーフブラウイルス、キュレイウイルス、EBF、ピグマリオン、テラバイトディスク。
The Tiefblau virus, Cure virus, IBF, Pygmalion, the terabyte disk.
みんなどっかで聞いたことのある言葉でしょ？
Except the kid never heard about the terabyte disk. So this is like really fourth wall breaky here.
All of them, all of them. You've heard all of those words before, haven't you?
ほいからこんなことも覚えてるよね。
And this, I bet you remember this.
マヨちゃんと水深34メートルの海の中から脱出したこと。
How you and Mayo escaped from 102 feet deep down under the sea.
ナッキュとサイホン効果を使って脱出したこと。
Escaped with Knock-You using a siphon.
忘れちゃったなんて嘘ついちゃダメだよ。
Don't
絶
lie
対
and say
覚
that
えてるはずなんだから。
Don't lie and say that you forgot. I know you remember.
ココも北端と一緒なんだよ。
I'm the same as you.
だから北端の世界のこともココの世界のことも知ってるってわけ。
That is why I know about the world you live in and the world I live in.
どう？納得した？
So, do you understand now?
ココ、北端の知ってることはみんな知ってるの。
I know everything you know.
しかもね、
And
北端がまだ知らないことまで分かっちゃったりするんだ。
I know some things that you don't know yet.
まだ知らないことっていうのはこれから知るであろうことっていう意味だよ。
Things that you know yet that you don't know yet means things you will come to know later.
とはいえ、
But
こんな突拍子もないことを急に告げられても頭の中がぐちゃんぐちゃんになってて理解できないかもしれないね。
maybe I'm telling you way too much stuff, so your mind is getting all mixed up.
だけど必ずいつか分かる時が来るから。
But I can tell you this, you'll understand it one day.
だからもう一度だけ言うけど、
So I'll say it again.
絶対に自分に嘘をついちゃダメだよ。
No matter what, don't lie to yourself.
いい？分かった？
Okay, understand.
I don't understand. Of course I don't understand.
やれやれ。
Here we go again.
Coco, what are you? Why did you suddenly appear in front of me? At those words, Coco's face suddenly clouded over. She scrunched up her face and drew her eyebrows together. Tears welled up in her eyes. She blinked to hide them and spoke
会い
quietly.
たかったからだよ。
I wanted to see you.
ココ、君のこと待ってたんだ。
I've been waiting for you.
ずーっと、ずーっと、君が来るのを待ってたんだ。
Waiting for you to come.
会いたくて、会いたくて、会いたくて。
I wanted to see you more than anything.
もう一度、どうしても君に会いたくて、
Wanted to see you again.
たった一人で、一人ぼっちで待ってたんだよ。
I've been waiting here by myself, all by myself.
Coco's words drifted into my heart and melted like a light snow. We gazed at each other without speaking. It wasn't that what the words said so much as that she said them at all that moved me so deeply. Before I sought their meaning, I let the simple power of her true feelings flow straight into my trembling heart. I couldn't take my eyes off of Coco's sad, tear-filled eyes. Coco laughed softly. I could tell it was forced cheer. The bravery of that laugh gripped at my heart.
ごめん、もう行かなくちゃ。
I'm sorry, I have to go.
またしばらくの間、お別れだね。
We'll be apart again for a little while.
What?
ほいじゃあ、消えちゃう前に一つだけいいことを教えてあげる。
Okay, before I go, I'll tell you something pretty juicy.
っていうか、もう気づいてると思うけど、
But I'm pretty sure you've already figured it out.
北端が見たあの夢は夢じゃないからね。
That dream you saw, it wasn't a dream.
現実に起こったことだからね。
It actually happened, okay?
今、ここが言ったこと、忘れないでよ。
Don't forget what I just said, alright?
じゃあね、北端。
See you later, Hokutan.
The next moment, she was gone. Without a sound, just gone, like a candle snuffed by a wandering night draft. And then I lost consciousness. I sank down into the darkness for a minute. Pull yourself together, man. I shook my head and gathered my wits.
ココちゃんのショートコント。もしもイルカがいくらだったら？
It's the Coco Show. First get What If Dolphins Were Salmon Roe.
おお、今日は大量だな。すごい量の鮭が取れたぞ。
Big load today. Tons of salmon.
どれどれ、腹をかっさばいてみるとするか。
Let's see. Open them up.
ザクザク、ザクザク。
Cut.
うわー、なんじゃこりゃ。イルカがいっぱい出てきた。200匹ぐらい出てきた。
What's this? Dolphins are pouring out of the salmon. Hundreds of them.
やべえ、やべえよ。母ちゃん、大変だ。
No, oh no, mommy, emergency.
The reason I had blacked out must have been Coco's microwaves. They got me. I still hadn't built an immunity to them. It was pretty rough. Why didn't I ever learn? Why was it that every time I wandered around, my feet kept taking me to her? It was strange. I wondered if she were drawing me with her with some mysterious frequency. Anyway, having finished breakfast, I wandered around Lamu and got sucked into the souvenir shops.
ココちゃんのショートコント。もしもイルカがご遺体だったら。
Coco's jokes. If a dolphin was a corpse.
しくしく、しくしく。どうも、遠いところ、わざわざありがとうございます。
Oh, thank you for coming such a long way.
この度はご愁傷様です。
My sincerest condolences when I talk like Sora.
主人の顔、見てやっていただけますか？
Would you like to see my husband's face?
ええ、では失礼して。
Oh, well, certainly.
パカ、パカ。
Click, click.
うわー！なんじゃこりゃ！イルカが永眠してる！しかも仰向けだ！
Oh, an eternally sleeping dolphin, and its belly up too.
安らかな死に顔ですね。今にも起きてきそうだな。って言えねえ。だって顔わかんねえんだもん。
He looks so peaceful, and if he'd jump up any second, except you couldn't say that because you wouldn't be able to see his face.
Coco pattered along, shaking a huge dolphin stuffed animal. Several smaller stuffed animals were strewn around the carpet. From the looks of the empty cabinet nearby, it appears that she had pulled them all down from their places on the shelf. It was such a childish thing to do. A child. But Coco was 14. A 14-year-old who still played with stuffed animals. I wondered if it was really alright to let her just grow up like that. But when I saw her innocent, laughing face, I didn't have the heart to scold her. I suppose she would probably be happiest just being the way she was. Coco continued to crack herself up, and I continued to watch. When her amusement died down a little, I called to her. Hey Coco, where's Pee-Pee?
え、ピピ？ピピだったらその辺にいると思うけど。
Pee-Pee? Well, he's right over there somewhere.
I looked around the kiosk. There. Pee-Pee was gripping a stuffed animal's tail and his teeth shaking it back and forth crazily. It was a stuffed lemur doll. He seemed completely engrossed in it.
ところでタケピョンはそんなところで何やってるの？
Hey, Takepyon, what you doing over there?
Oh, what am I doing, huh? You look so happy that just watching you is making me happy. But so I guess you could say that by watching you, I've slipped into a happy, stupid state.
Really?
もしかしてタケピョン、ここに惚れちゃった？
Takepyon, you're falling in love with me, aren't you?
What?
惚れちゃったんだろ、惚れちゃったんだろ。くんにゃろ、くんにゃろ。
You like me, don't you?
ちっきしょー。やっべえ、告られた、告られた、告られちまった。
Wow, I can't believe it. He's finally told me how he feels.
恥ずかしい、照れる。
How embarrassing. I'm blushing.
やだやだ、もうどうしよう、どうしよう。
Gosh, oh my gosh, a crush, what'll I do?
Bam bam. Coco balled up her fists and started popping the dolphin's belly with brutal right hooks. Punch after punch again and again, until the cotton batting started to come out.
ほいじゃあ、お礼と言ってはなんだけど、
Well, thank you.
ココの新作のコメッチョ聞かせてあげようか。
Shall I tell you a new joke?
No, that's okay.
どうして遠慮しなくてもいいのに。
Why not? You don't have to be polite.
Oh, believe me, I'm not being...
ココちゃんのアメリカンジョーク。看護婦と医者。
Coco's joke about the doctor and the nurse.
Ignoring my pleas, Coco launched into her joke. It was very long. It was not funny. It was so bad, in fact, that I couldn't even muster a polite chuckle. Now that I'm going to inflict it on you, it went like this. A nurse named Kate was desperately in love with Robert, a doctor who worked at the same hospital. Robert was crazy about Kate as well. Kate stood on the left side of the room, and Robert stood on the right. Kate slipped out of her white uniform and hung it on the closet door. Robert stripped his uniform off in a bit of a hurry and simply dropped it on the floor. Kate lowered her panties. Robert threw off his boxers. Kate's body was lovely and supple, and Robert was lean and muscled. Kate put on the silk pajamas she had bought for the occasion. Still naked, Robert turned off the light. Standing on the left of the bed, Kate turned slowly to the right. On the right of the bed, Robert easily to the left. And they jumped into the bed and slept. Oh, by the way, Kate was sleeping in the night duty room, and Robert was sleeping in his room at home.
Hey, what's with the face?
I bet you were imagining.
I bet you were imagining something dirty, weren't you?
That was the punchline. That's called an anti-joke. Coco's laugh was loud enough to hear across the Pacific Ocean. If there were any nuclear submarines nearby, their sonar guy was probably laughing too. Even if I felt the corners of my mouth twitching. Obviously the joke wasn't funny, but Coco was so amused at the unamusing joke, it was hilarious. I thought to myself, all is well. According to what we heard from Sora on the second day, Lemu's partitions would reach their structural limit tomorrow. So how was it that I felt so calm? Maybe Coco's innocence was contagious. I wasn't even tense. I was laughing around. I was lounging around. If I stayed like this, it could be dangerous. It was fine for Coco to be innocent, but if I got swept away in it, it could be fatal. The thought ran through my head, but as I looked at her smiling face, I couldn't hold on to caution. It was too peaceful. It was like being in a dream. I was in a dream. After Coco disappeared, I blacked out. Maybe I was still stuck in that state. In the dream, I felt choked and oppressed. It was like being plastered up against inside thick walls. Unable to move, only my eyes could follow the images before me. I earnestly followed after the fragments of scenes that unfolded before me.
北端が見たあの夢は夢じゃないからね。
Hookton, that dream, it wasn't a dream.
現実に起こったことだからね。
It actually happened, okay?
I thought about it. That dream. The dream I had on the third day right before I woke up.
北端はココのいる世界のこと知ってるはずでしょ？
You know about the world that I live in.
そこにはマヨちゃんがいなくてつぐみんが怪我しちゃって顔の違うもう一人の自分が存在して
Mayo's not there, and Tsugumi got hurt, and there's another you with a different face.
Tsugumi injured. Meaning it had actually happened? But no, it couldn't be. The warehouse was still fine. And Tsugumi was as perky as ever. What could it mean?
絶対に自分に嘘をついちゃダメだよ。
You absolutely can't lie to yourself, okay?
Kogo's words ran together. The scattered fragments of images began to come together a little until I could make out a vague outline, but I still couldn't see the whole picture at once. It was like a freakishly large mural. Since I was imprisoned in these walls, there was no way to see the whole thing. What to do? Escape from these walls. Escape from these walls. When I pushed my face out through the wall, I woke up. I was in the infirmary. I looked around. I was alone. I ran out of the infirmary and headed towards Dritte Stock. If Coco was right, then there really had been an accident and Tsugumi was injured. You're not interpreting this right. In a different timeline, kid. In any case, I could find Tsugumi and discover the truth for myself. I would. But I didn't know where Tsugumi was. So I headed first to the control room. Sora was sure to be there, and Sora would know where Tsugumi was. I opened the door. Sora, where's Tsugumi right now? I ran into the room and yelled in a loud voice. What?
小町さんならここに。
Tsugumi's right here. Sure enough, there she was. Tsugumi, on a chair, looked around at me.
どうしたの？そんなに慌てちゃって。
What happened? Why are you in such a hurry? Well... Tsugumi, look, sorry, but... On the spur of the moment, I lifted up Tsugumi's skirt.
何するのよ！
Hey, what the? Smack. A rounded slap. A resounding slap. But it didn't hurt. As a matter of fact, I seemed to have lost all feeling in my entire body. Because I had seen, on Tsugumi's right thigh, a faint scar. Whoa. What is that scar?
傷？
Scar? The scar on your thigh.
これは
This
ただの古傷よ。
is just an old scar. Old scar? From when?
ずっと昔、
A long time ago.
ずっと昔のこと。
A really, really long time ago. 17 years ago, exactly. Where'd you get hurt?
それは
It was... I was trapped in a gondola. I couldn't move. I couldn't even shift my eyes. Past the skirt I was holding, I could see the white of her panties, the smooth curve of her thigh, her smooth, silky skin, the scar. I had definitely seen a scar there, but it looked like something that had healed years ago, leaving only the faintest trace on the skin.
今から12年前、私はあるウイルスに感染した。
12 years ago, I was infected by a virus.
そのウイルスのおかげで、ウイルスのせいで、
Because of that virus, the virus,
私の遺伝子のコードは書き換えられてしまった。
it rewrote my genetic code.
細胞は日々生まれ変わっている。
Cells are reborn every
生
day.
まれ変わり、そして死んでいく。
They're reborn and then die.
通常、人間の体細胞は5年後には全て入れ替わる。
Normally, a person's body completely remakes all of its cells every 5 years.
12歳の時ウイルスに感染した私の細胞は、その瞬間からゆっくりと細胞分裂を繰り返し、
But after I caught the virus when I was 12, its cells slowly kept dividing.
5年後、細胞は全て入れ替わったの。
So that 5 years later, I had all new cells.
つまり、私の肉体を構成する全ての細胞の遺伝情報が5年の歳月を経て、
In
全部
5,
書き換えられたということ。
in 5 years, every cell that made up my body had been genetically altered. Again, this doesn't make any sense, but okay.
最後の一つとなった細胞が死んだ時、
When the last original cell died,
12歳の時の私は跡形もなく消え去ってしまった。
I guess unless the virus is triggered to infect the cell immediately upon mitosis. The self that I had been at 12 disappeared without a
そ
trace.
して古い私は死んだ。
At that moment, the old me died.
古い私は死に、新しい私は
The
死
old
なな
me,
い体になっていた。
the old me died, and the new me had a body that would never die.
私の免疫機能、並びに代謝効率は著しく能力向上し、
My immune system and my metabolic rate were improved.
テロメアは回復し続けるようになった。
My telomeres began to regenerate themselves.
そう、
That's right.
私は決して老いず死ななくなった。
I will never grow old and never die.
私の成長はその時に止まったままなの。
My physical growth stopped at that moment in time.
17歳のまま決して老いることはないの。
I will never grow older than 17. The Curie virus. The Curie virus was a type of retrovirus. Like many retroviruses, the Curie virus was not contagious across species. When people simply say the Curie virus, they're actually referring to the human version of the virus. There are variants such as the monkey-specific Curie, the rat-specific Curie, but from here on out, we will only be referring to the human strain. Retroviruses turn their host's RNA into DNA by doing a reverse transcriptase, and then, well, reverse transcriptase is the name of the enzyme. So you wouldn't say like doing a reverse transcriptase, you would say using a reverse transcriptase, and then re-inject that DNA into the host genes. That means they can directly rewrite the host blueprint. This is actually correct. This is what AIDS does. Well, HIV is the name of the virus. This is what HIV does. Infected cells, which go on processing proteins as usual, then unwittingly reproduce the virus. At the same time, the cells with the rewritten DNA go to divide and multiply, spreading throughout the body like cancer cells. Normally, when cancer cells develop in the body repulses them with a p53 function located on the 17th chromosome. p53 causes certain enzymes and proteins, and when there has been damage done to a gene, it stops replication or causes apoptosis, natural cell death, and works to repair the damaged DNA, thus earning its name, the anti-cancer gene. The Curie virus mutates this p53 gene as well, rendering it useless. The Curie-infected cells can spread throughout the body uncontested. Then, once all the DNA code is rewritten, the host literally becomes a new species. New species? Well, let's just call it the Curie species here. The Curie species body is endowed with the following unique characteristics: self-regeneration of the telomeres, rate improvement in self-healing. Telomeres are the base sequence located at the either end of the chromosome and genetically become shorter with every replication. After a certain number of divisions, the telomeres get so short that the cell can no longer divide. And I called this the Hayflick limit, I believe. So telomeres are like the bus stickers of cell division. Once you spin them, they're gone. But not the Curie species. This new body produces an enzyme called telomerase, which allows unlimited recycling of the bus tickets that normally would have already been spent. This allows for almost endless cell division to continue, thereby eliminating aging and weakening. Having said all that, this is not a particularly unusual phenomenon. It happens every day in normal reproductive cells, and even in most cancer cells, there is rarely a shortage of telomeres. In that case, it is not impossible to say that the Curie virus turns every cell in the body cancerous. On the other hand, there is no similarly tangible mechanism yet in place for dealing with the process of self-healing. But the metabolism is activated and the rate of cell generation is greatly increased. And it is believed that this is what so dramatically shortens the time required to heal after an illness or injury. Actually, there is one more distinguishing characteristic of the Curie species, which is infrared vision. Because I suspected this was going to be the case. Because its production is lost, the faculties of p53, Curie species possess a continuous, extremely vulnerable to a constitution extremely vulnerable to ultraviolet rays. The DNA cells in the skin quickly are damaged to grow malignant when exposed to the sun for any duration. So Sora and the kid are children of a Curie. The children of Tsugumi. That makes sense. In normal human, thanks to the anti-cancer gene, damaged DNA is let die or repaired. But the Curie species cannot do this. It's possible to use another gene to produce an enzyme to perform the same function as p53, but alas, this solution proved to be limited. Therefore, Curie species are very vulnerable to ultraviolet rays and can only venture outside at night. The infrared ray vision was developed to make up for this shortcoming.
私にはそういう特殊な能力があるの。
I have a unique ability. Having figured her long talk of the Curie virus, Tsuyumi brought this up.
物体に触れることなく、その温度を見ることができるのよ。
Without touching something, I can see its temperature.
赤外線視力、インフラビジョンとも言うらしいけど。
Infrared vision is also called infravision. So on the second day, when you stood in front of the power generation room and knew that it was too hot, that was because of your infrared vision?
ええ。
Yes. How about that? Infravision. Interesting.
疑わないの？
You don't doubt me. She tilted her head like she was surprised. Ah,
信用するの？私のたわごとを？
you believe all this nonsense I've been telling you. Well, it's an unbelievable story. Viruses, DNA, bodies that won't die, it's crazy. I can't believe it, but I don't doubt it. If you say so, it must be true. So I guess I have to believe it. The instant I said that, my body was being pulled. I wasn't I wasn't a brutally strong force, but I couldn't resist. This is kind of out of order. It was a natural flowing movement. On the white gondola, Tsugumi's body was covering mine. I could feel her breath. I could feel her pulse. I could feel her heart. A fragrant smell wafted from her neck. The smell of musk. A sweet smell, if you can call that.
嘘でしょ？
You're kidding, right? She smiled coldly and gazed at me.
簡単に信じるなんて。そんなこと。
Don't say I
言わないで。
believe. Don't say I believe so easily. You think it's irresponsible?
ええ。無責任。
It's
すごく。
it's very irresponsible.
なぜ信じられるの？何の根拠があるっていうの？
How can you believe me? On what basis? None. I have absolutely no basis. We saw the scar.
ほら、やっぱり。
You see? Raising an eyebrow, she put her hand on my
いい
neck.
加減にしなさいよ。
Will you cut it out already? She gave me a look that turned my spine to ice, but her hands were trembling. Her coldness was contrived. Calm down, Tsugumi. I spoke slowly, breathing deliberately. First of all, do you really need a reason to trust people? If so, then you don't have to trust me. Doubt me all you want. But I believe you, even if no one else does, I do. I accept the truth.
そんな、
But
そんなこと。できるはずない。
there's no reason you should be able to do that. But I can. I want to understand you, even if it's hard for me to believe it if it's the truth. The scar on your right leg, it's almost healed,
え
right?
え。
Yes. I can't believe it, but that wound is almost healed. That's the reality, right?
そうよ。
That's right. Show it to me again. I'll accept things as they are.
見たいの？
You want to see it? She removed her hand.
本当に見たいの？
You really want to see? Her voice trembled faintly. She was speaking slowly, in control.
見たらあなたは後悔するかもしれないわ。
If you look, you might regret it.
もしもすべてを知ったら
If you knew everything.
こんなの人間じゃないって思うかもしれないわ。
You might think that there's no way I could be human. You don't want me to look? If you show me, maybe you'll regret it? The fact that you're not answering, was that a stupid question? If you don't answer, I'm going to look whether you want me to or not.
やめてよ。
Don't
勝手に決めないで。
don't decide for me.
嫌だなんて。
I didn't say
嫌だなんて。私、
I didn't say that I didn't say that I didn't want to show you. The room slid into darkness.
だったら見て。
Look then.
目をそらさないで。見て。
Don't flinch. Look
全部。
at everything.
たけしにだけは全部
I'll
見せて
show
あげ
you.
るから。
I'll show you. Only you. I heard the sound of unfastening. In the darkness of the gondola, in the faint moonlight, the deep sea shined blue. Floating up into the darkness, it was a wound. Once etched deeply, but now healed to almost nothing. I had to squint to see. I might not have known, but if I hadn't gently run my fingers over them. Scars. All over her body. Minutely etched. Countless scars. Tsugumi's shoulders shook with her weeping. She cried silently. I grasped her shoulders, pulled her to me fiercely. Tears wet the floor. Tsugumi cried in my arms, on my breast like a child. I wanted Tsugumi and she wanted me. She accepted all of me and I accepted all of her. We overlapped until we became one. Is that the origin of the kid in Sara? My head rested neatly on Tsugumi's legs. She was sitting on her heels. I felt the lovely softness of her flesh on the back of my head. The gondola had circled the floor many times and was now moving again through the darkness. Click, click. What's that? I looked above to see Tsugumi holding something in her hand. She was clicking what looked like a pen. I think I heard the same sound in front of the generator room.
赤外線レーザーの照射装置。
It's an infrared laser. She smiled quietly and muttered. What?
これがあると何かと便利なの。
It's convenient to have this.
私みたいな特殊能力の持ち主にはね。
If you have a special ability like mine. You're basically doing with your body the same thing an infrared night scope camera does, right? If you flash an infrared ray, it makes it easier to see in the dark. And since normal people can't see the infrared rays, it just looks dark. But if you have infrared vision, you can see as clearly as you can at high noon. Tsugumi nodded.
そうよ。
That's right.
どんな暗闇でも大丈夫なの。
I'm fine no matter how dark it is. Tsugumi giggled as she covered up her bared chest. Then she laughed and giggled at me too. Right about the time that it stopped.
ねえ、たけし、ちょっと起きて。
Hey Takeshi, can you get up? I sat up as ordered.
いい？今から3つ数えるから、
I'm going to count down from 3.
その間、目つぶったらダメよ。
Don't close your eyes the whole time, okay? Huh?
3、2、1。
Some knee each. Click. There was a sound. What'd you just do? I
焼
blinked.
き付けたの。
I burned an image.
あなたをね、焼き付けたのよ。
I burned an image of you. Burned?
うん。あなたの姿をしっかりと焼き付けたの。
Yep, and burned a pretty good one too.
ここと、
Here. She pointed at her chest.
それから、
And
ここに。ね。
here too, okay? I couldn't see because of the shadow of her hand. She was holding something. Something besides the laser. Oh no, we didn't see Takeshi and Takeshi's route either. Oh no. In the darkness, I heard the sound of a thin chain. I didn't know what it was. What do you mean by here? Tell me.
内緒。
It's a secret. We don't see Takeshi in Takeshi's route. So Takeshi looks different too. And so it's Takeshi who's the image in the holograph. Oh. But the other Takeshi, the one you don't see because you play as him. All she would give me was a mischievous smile. Oh, I noticed the shirt looked the same. The hologram pennant. I thought back to the image in Sara's hologram pennant. That means the image in the pennant was a different Takeshi Kuranari. And Tsugumi has infrared vision like Sara and me. Which means both Sara and my parents were...
どうしたの？
What is it?
大丈夫ですか？少年さん、
Are you alright, kid?
顔色が悪いようですけど。
You don't look so good. I shook my head and shivered as I stepped slowly backwards. My back bumped against the wall. It can't be.
え？
Huh? No, no, no. I let out a cry that was almost a scream. It's like, kid, I am your mother. Swinging around, I opened the door and ran out of the control room. I wanted to get as far away as I could. I wanted to find a place where no one could find me. I pounded up the emergency stairs. I ran forward in the dark haze. I ran as if I could escape the fear that threatened to overwhelm me. Further and further away. But in this confined space, there was nowhere I could run away to. Eventually, I reached the end of the corridor. And ended up in front of the jellyfish gondola. There was no way past the closed flood doors. I stood in front of the decorated arch. The gondola had to be somewhere beyond the gates, which were veiled in darkness. In the gondola, Tsugumi and the real Takeshi. It's impossible. I tried to purge the thought from my mind, but the suspicion mercilessly attacked my brain until I could no longer think straight. The battle between denial and acceptance. I writhed in pain, sinking further into a trench of despair. In my mind, there was only one possibility. I was almost convinced of the certainty of it. This is, like, it's... Did I say something when Sora was like, I saw what you did in the jellyfish gondola? I saw everything. I wanted to kill Tsugumi, and I wanted to kill you too. I might have commented something there. I knew it was coming. Like I could see that. Like I could interpret that. I was almost convinced of the certainty of it. On the other hand, I hated the possibility so much that I wanted with all my heart to reject it. I put my hand on my chest, breathing in deeply, and tried to calm my thoughts. If it were true that Tsugumi had infrared vision, and if the incident I witnessed in the jellyfish gondola really did happen, and Takeshi and Tsugumi, who had existed in the other world, would be Sora and my parents. No, it can't be. But it's like, I don't know if it's really Coco's parents. Coco is the one calling them mommy and daddy. I guess it's a little bit of a variation. So yeah, you should catch on to that. It means something, but it's not necessarily they're Coco's parents. I was once again overwhelmed by feelings of denial. Sora and I were 16. If Tsugumi had given birth to us, then it would have been 16 years ago. Huh? I suddenly felt as if I had been hit by lightning. My head was filled with a blinding light. Suddenly kicking off the floor, I broke into a run. It was 2017 now, so 16 years ago it would have been 2001. The world I had seen was 2000. Not quite. You're not quite there. Wait a minute. What if this year wasn't 2017? I opened the door to the security office and stumbled into the room. As I suspected, I found you there. You. Breathing heavily, I approached you.
何を突然
What is it, all of a sudden?
どうしたのなんかあったの
What is it? What's wrong? This year. What year is it? Huh? Just answer me. You blinked slowly, her mouth half open. Well? I glared at you and pressed her for an answer. A little overwhelmed by my enthusiasm, you seemed a bit disconcerted.
今は西暦で言うと
On the standard calendar,
2034
2034.
年だけど
Why? It's 2017. And I'll end it there. As far as the gameplay is concerned. Well... I kinda guessed kinda some of that. But not exactly. Like, when Coco started calling Tsugumi and Takeshi mommy and daddy, I saw, okay, they had a kid, right? I didn't really, and then I also guessed that Tsugumi could see infrared because she was kind of like, she snatched the pennant from Sora and so on. And then, I did kind of guess that the person in the pennant was Takeshi at first sight, but then it was like, oh no, but the hair's different. And then I kind of guessed that Takeshi and Tsugumi did it in the jellyfish gondola because of that stuff that Sora said in her route. But I didn't like, and I knew for a very, very long time that this was 2034, and 2034 is the kid, 2017 is Takeshi. I knew that from just starting, just starting Takeshi's route. I actually knew that and partially from just even my first playthrough of User Route. But I didn't actually put it all together I didn't like stick all the pieces together to go, okay, Tsugumi is actually, I didn't do this very early on. I got it right before it was revealed, of course. I realized it right before they told me. But, just right before they told you doesn't really matter that much. I didn't really put it all together very early that Tsugumi and Takeshi were the kid in Sara's parents. But the kid in Takeshi's Route is not the same kid. And the Takeshi in Takeshi's Route is also not the same Takeshi. And I knew that they weren't the same you because of the name discrepancy. Ooh. Man, that was good. That's exactly what I was expecting from this. Oof. Okay. So I'm going to drop a save. There's only one choice in that entire thing, and that is if Takeshi committed a sin. And Takeshi did commit a sin. The other Takeshi did. Okay. No, none of these. No one's as you. No new Tsugumi. No new Sora. We already had all those. This one of Coco is the new. Okay. And then look at the clear list. 115 out of 126. Pass 212 out of 225. Okay, 97 out of 114 complete. Again, this is probably go search for you instead of going to the warehouse with Sara. Mark of the Original Sin. Potato Bug DJ. Okay. Drama of the Heart. That's probably that whole Coco's joke thing and the dolphin. Scars of Love. That's, that. 34 years is the part we just saw. Okay. We've got 9 more. Not including this one and this one. So really 11 more. Okay. Well, wow. That just went just the Uchikoshi just dropped there, just in its entirety. Just that entire episode was just a drop of it. Okay. If you watched all that, thank you for watching it.